So today's my third iron infusion and woke up last night with a pretty disturbing dream. And essentially it was just centered around not being able to do all of the things and just failing, to be completely honest with you. So it wasn't a fun dream to wake up to this morning, as I just know that I've been having reactions, allergic reactions from these iron infusions, but I also know that it's something really important for my body. So today I want to talk about how we can find ways of making peace with our capacity, not seeing it as a sense of failure, when our bodies are not just scientifically, but spiritually screaming to us to make a difference, to change the pattern that has been going on in our families and in our legacies, sometimes literally for generations. So welcome back. My name is Virginia. I'm a licensed mental health therapist, and I was recently diagnosed with 2 autoimmune disorders just for fun. So this morning I knew that I had a doctor's appointment this morning with a new immunologist, and I knew I was going to hear a whole bunch of things that I just didn't necessarily want to hear. I knew I probably was going to have to do a whole bunch of things that I necessarily didn't want to do. At the same time, being really, really grateful just to have medical providers who are listening, all right? That is, you can be experiencing 2 things at the same time. So I knew that that was coming up. In the meantime, that my subconscious was still very active last night in terms of dreaming about being a teacher in my classroom going out of control. And what was the other dream I had before that? I can't remember the other dream that I had before that, but it was something I know what it was. I was at a training, and during the training, something happened and people were going different places, and I couldn't find my colleagues that I really enjoy. And it just felt like the whole situation just started getting out of control, and I felt like I was lost. So if that's not my subconscious screaming to me and letting me know what's going on inside of me this morning, there's no bigger message outside something showing up in my blood work or my blood pressure or pain in the body saying that, hey, something else is just really, really wrong. So a lot of the clients that I work with, they have trauma history. Maybe they're connected to a partner and they can't necessarily figure out how to get along. They keep trying the same things over and over and over and over again, but are finding themselves back in debt. They're finding themselves consistently in an abusive or an emotionally empty relationship. They're finding themselves in these positions where they're having autoimmune disorders, they're having health problems, and they're like, where did this come from? So some of those things and issues I've resolved in my own life, but the way that some of this stuff is still showing up for me is with autoimmune disorders. So I was really trying to sit with myself this morning and really just sit in silent community with all of my clients as well, just in terms of like, how do we do this? How do we do this? My subconscious is literally screaming out to me. How do we do this? This is too hard. I feel overwhelmed. I feel like I'm not going to be able to make it. I feel like no matter what I do, it's going to just turn out in chaos. And that's essentially what the immunologist just very beautifully described as what's going on in my nervous system on a cellular level, which is crazy to me, but also very validating at the same time. So before getting to that appointment, I usually walk with my kids and my dog first thing in the morning. This morning felt very different for me. This morning I knew that I wasn't just going to have to prepare myself physically, to prepare myself emotionally. I really needed to take some time to prepare myself spiritually for this morning's appointment because I needed more support. I just needed more support. Also, my husband was not able to go. I was not able to have another family member or friend go to this appointment with me. I had my kids with me. And so I'm trying to make sure that I'm being strong for them and putting up a good face for them. But at the same time, also having my own experience as I'm sitting with some really hard realities. And I thought, my goodness, isn't this life sometimes? Where we're on a path, we feel like we're doing the best that we can, but then we're getting data that for whatever reason that we just haven't quite met the mark for whatever reason. We're stuck in some sort of a repetitive pattern for whatever reason. Our nervous system is frustrated. Our emotions are frustrated. Our family and friends are frustrated for us for whatever reason, because we're going around and around and around and around. For me, with autoimmune disorders, the closer we're getting to what's going on in my nervous system on a cellular level, the more validated I feel and the closer that we're getting to get everything to just calm down. So how did I prepare myself for my appointment this morning? How did I protect my capacity this morning? I actually engage in a spiritual practice that we use in psychedelic work, in psychedelic journey work. And so I'm going to kind of describe it and then share how I modified it, because I was not tripping this morning before I went to my appointment. So what we kind of do is essentially when people are in a journey, they usually see something that they weren't expecting. They usually experience something that not always a surprise, but a lot of times it's a surprise to them, or it's distressing. It causes anxiety. It's something that is adversive. They didn't want to see, they didn't want to experience. They don't want any part of it whatsoever. But this is what they're being shown, and this is what they're experiencing. This is what's present, and it's not what they want. And so part of what we do is, as they're in that process and they're being supported by whatever guide is leading them through that process. So sometimes it is a family member, sometimes it is an animal, sometimes it is a religious figure, sometimes it is just a gentle spirit that's just with them through that process. Sometimes it's God. I've had atheist folks say, God spoke to me when I was in my trip or in my journey. And so what we do is, in those moments, is however that message comes, whatever the emotion comes to that person, my nervous system, that person's nervous system, their guide's nervous system, it's just kind of, we're just sitting all up there together in just solidarity and a place of just acknowledging. And so I'm acknowledging with my nervous system. My client may or may not be accepting, but just acknowledging that this is kind of what is. This is just kind of where we are. Whatever their guide is that is showing them this thing. Again, that's not me as a therapist showing them the thing. It is whatever their guide is showing them this thing. And they're at a place of just trying to acknowledge that it's there. This is real. This is happening in real time. And so in that process, we were all kind of using our nervous systems together, which sounds weird to talk about. If you've never done it before, it's just hard to explain. So, but everybody's kind of using their nervous systems together. And then the person, like my client, whoever that person is just in a place of being able to start to accept, because it is collectively being held. And so on some level, my client starts kind of like accepting. And so it's almost kind of like whatever that knowledge is coming literally into their nervous system, which again, usually sometimes, again, I have trauma survivors, their body wants to fight it. They want to fight and break out of it, which I get it. And I have done it. So, but sometimes their mind and their bodies and, you're all connected, and it's starting to war with yourself as you're sitting with the present knowledge of whatever this thing is. And in that process, I just kind of use my nervous system to encourage the client to start to allow the awareness to come deeper inside of their nervous system. And so as it starts to sink in deeper into their nervous system, what tends to happen next is there becomes this place where the person's nervous system will transition. The energy kind of like goes inside of them. The knowledge goes inside of them. It transitions. And the way that energy transitions is it moves out in a different way than what it came in. So it may come in with like a vision or a feeling or an emotion or some sort of experience. But as it's coming in and as it's settling inside the nervous system, it usually gets transformed and it usually needs to come back out. So there is some sort of a response from the physical body. And so as it is coming back out, sometimes people will moan. Sometimes people will weep. Sometimes people will repeat a phrase over and over and over again. Sometimes people will engage in repetitive movements. If you have not noticed, I am a rocker. And so when something is coming and it's present for my nervous system, I usually need to move just to allow it to even just to come in. And so as it's coming into my nervous system, I am moving in sync with it. It is finding ways to fit all deep inside of me. And then I am moving it out energetically. I am allowing it to pass through my nervous system completely. And that is usually through some sort of movement for me. And so that's kind of the overall process of what it looks like in a psychedelic experience. But how did that look for me this morning? Because again, I wasn't tripping this morning. So the way that looked for me this morning was I needed to be really intentional about my walk with my dog this morning. And so as we were going on our walk, we did not go the route that we would usually go. We usually have like about 2 different routes that we normally do. And so what I needed to do was I needed to do a different route. And whenever I am processing something energetically, spiritually, I am moving my body. Usually I will pace. So I will go back and forth the same path over and over and over again. So for other folks, that may look really weird. I did not pace in my neighborhood though. But I did walk back and forth the same pathway a couple of times. So we start moving. And as I started moving, I was just sitting with my dream this morning. And I was just kind of like allowing that stuff to move in me, move through me. And then I just started to bring my reality into my focus into where I was at. I live in a beautiful part of the country. I live in Northwest Florida. The sun was shining. The birds were chirping. There's a little bunny that lives next door to us, like a little wild rabbit. And so we saw the little bunny this morning. My dog is with me. My girls are with me. All my family is safe. All my friends are good. I'm just in this place that I'm preparing for a scary appointment, where I'm preparing my nervous system to hear some things that are confirming, which is helpful, but it also is just scary. So I just took some time just to validate my own experience. I didn't necessarily put words to it with my kids, but I sat with it as I have sat with the entire world and all of creation sitting with me. And then I just allowed my breathing to slow down. Because I'm not holding it by myself. And if I'm not holding it by myself, my kids don't have to hold it by themselves. My clients don't have to hold it by themselves. Black women, we don't have to hold it by ourselves. There's hope. I went in to see my medical provider, and again, she shared a lot of things I was very prepared for. Some things that were a little bit of a surprise. Oh, I need to do what kind of a test? Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, I want another medication. But you're going to do a pre and post test. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Because I was in a very different spot a handful of years ago where people weren't running any kind of test. They were just telling me that it's just anxiety, it's just in my head, because the right tests weren't being run. Don't come back until I have a fever over 102 for more than 5 days. Like, these are the things that I was hearing, and I could have died, y'all. So I had a provider who was there who was also just holding space. I didn't have to hold it by myself. So I took the information, took all the orders and everything that I need to do, and I slowed my nervous system down just to get to a place of accepting and practicing a little bit more acceptance. Again, on a cellular level. I recently read an article that said something on, I don't think it's really an article, it was some sort of content creator person saying, whatever you do, don't listen to your body. A lot of folks are telling you, listen to your body, listen to your nervous system. And it's not a good way of doing things, because your body teaches you dissociation. Your body teaches you hypervigilance. Your body teaches you trauma. Your body teaches you fawning. And so these are ways that your body can be wrong. These are ways that your body can trick you. And so I sat with that and I kind of thought about it, allowed that information to kind of come in, had some time to digest it, had some time also to transform it and to release it in my nervous system. I've been sitting with it for a few days now. And as I sit with it more and more, I'm like, sometimes I think we just go from one extreme to another. We go from one extreme to, I've got to listen to the hypervigilance. I've got to listen to the dissociation. I've got to listen to this fawning kind of response or freeze. I've just had to freeze because this is what my body says to do, to going to this other extreme that says, no, you just need to listen to your brain. Your emotions are just going to hurt you. They're going to harm you. They're not going to be accurate. What if we collect all the data? What if we just do that? What if we didn't do just one or the other? Oh, what if we collect all the data? And that's what I was doing, is I was sitting there with my nervous system, with my body, moving, accepting, acknowledging. Before I could even get to a place of accepting, acknowledging. Then I was eventually able to move into this space where I could digest some of the material and kind of see what fit best. I'm a behaviorist at my core, y'all. From my training, I'm a behaviorist at my core. And so one of the things that we believe is important is data, which is why it was easier to digest what my provider was sharing with me. Because she was like, Virginia, we need data before, we need the data after. And I'm like, you are speaking my language. I get that. I am willing to do all the tests and things because I know that you're taking enough care to provide a wide range of panels of things. And you're going to do a before and after a treatment approach. That's where I want to be. I want to collect all the data. So not just collecting the data of our bodies getting reactive. That's important data. That doesn't mean we need to just respond solely on that data. But also our brains and our minds and our logic have lots of great data as well. That part says, hey, don't jump off the cliff. Hey, don't jump on the bandwagon. Hey, slow down. Like, that data is also really great. And then we're able to combine all of that data together to be able to get to a more settled place to make the best decision that's right for us in the moment. So that's what I want to encourage you to do. The more that you're able to do that, collect all the data, sit with your nervous system, sit with others' nervous systems, collect the data, not react and hurry up and respond to it, but collect the data, sit on it, digest it, settle with it. And if you can't digest it by yourself, that's okay and that's normal. Have another nervous system to be there and support with you. Whether that's a friend, whether that's a partner, whether that's a pet, whether it's a provider. whether if it's in some sort of sacred practice that you're doing, whether if it's in like a worship service, or if it's with psychedelic medicine, or if it's through dance and ritual space, it doesn't really matter so much to me. But being able to take in all the data, digest it, sit with it in peace, and then start to decide, okay, what do I want to do next? Okay, where am I going to move forward? And the next step, it just becomes very intuitive. And I know that's a hot button word right now, and it's been a hot button word for a while. But the next step becomes very, very, very predictable. Okay. So if you've not subscribed to my channel, I do ask that you would take time to do that. My name is Virginia, as I've already shared with you. I'm a licensed mental health therapist, and my hope is that you do something today to take really good care of yourself and to take care of those that are in your life. Until next time.